Did you know there's one ingredient in your kitchen right now that can calm your dog's itchy skin overnight? But most owners are too scared to feed it, and that fear is completely backwards. Tonight, I'm revealing it, plus 13 more. But don't miss the last one because many dog owners say it starts working in minutes. Let's start with the heavyweight, fish oil. But before you roll your eyes and say, "I've heard this before," here's what you probably haven't heard. Your dog's skin is the largest organ in their body, and it rebuilds itself completely every 21 days. Every 3 weeks, your dog grows an entirely new skin. The question is, what is that new skin being built from? If their food is loaded with cheap omega-6 fats, which almost all kibble is, their body builds inflamed, reactive, itchy skin. Fish oil floods their system with omega-3s, which literally change the raw material their new skin is made of. Use 1 TSP for small dogs and 1 TBSP for big dogs, right over their dinner. Most dogs act like you just served them a 5-star meal. But here's the thing, fish oil works from the inside, and that takes a couple of weeks. What if your dog is tearing at their skin right now tonight? For that, you need something that works in hours, not weeks. Open your pantry. If there's a jar of coconut oil in there, you're holding one of the fastest itch relief tools that exist for dogs. Here's why it's different. Coconut oil contains lauric acid, the same compound found in mother's milk, and it does two jobs at once. Fed in their food about 1/2 a TSP per 10 lb of body weight, it fights the yeast and bacteria that turn a small itch into an infected hotspot. But you can also rub a thin layer directly onto the red, irritated patch, and most dogs feel relief within the hour. Start with a small amount in the food, because too much, too fast can loosen their stool. Now, coconut oil calms the skin, and fish oil rebuilds it. But neither one of them fixes the real engine behind most chronic itching. Because the dirty secret of dog skin problems is that they usually aren't skin problems at all. 70% of your dog's immune system doesn't live in their blood. It doesn't live in their skin, it lives in their gut. And when the gut is out of balance, with too much bad bacteria and not enough good, the immune system panics. It starts overreacting to everything: pollen, dust, chicken, grass. And where does that overreaction show up? The skin, the scratching, the licking, the chewing. That's often your dog's gut screaming through their skin. This is why you can bathe them every week and change nothing. You're washing the smoke while the fire burns underneath. The fix? Plain, unsweetened yogurt. A spoonful for small dogs, 2 for large, or better yet, plain kefir, which has up to 10 times more good bacteria. Just make absolutely sure the label says no xylitol and no added sugar. Xylitol can kill a dog. Within a few weeks of feeding this, many owners notice the scratching quietly fading, like someone slowly turning down the volume. The next one costs almost nothing, and most people pour it down the drain. If you've ever made soup and tossed the leftover liquid, you threw away medicine. Bone broth is liquid gold. When bones simmer for hours, they release collagen, gelatin, and glucosamine, the exact building blocks your dog's body uses to repair damaged, raw, scratched open skin. Think of it this way. Scratching tears the skin's barrier apart, and bone broth hands the body the bricks to rebuild the wall. Pour a few spoonfuls over their kibble or freeze it into cubes for a healing summer treat. One warning, never use store-bought broth made for humans. Onion and garlic in those broths are toxic to dogs. Make it yourself with just bones, water, and a splash of apple cider vinegar simmered low and slow. And that apple cider vinegar I just mentioned? Don't skip past it, because on its own, it does something for itchy dogs that almost sounds illegal for how cheap it is. Use apple cider vinegar that is raw, unfiltered, with that cloudy stuff floating at the bottom. That cloud is called the mother, and it's where the power lives. Here's what most owners don't know. Itchy dog skin usually has a pH problem. The skin becomes too alkaline, and that's the exact environment where yeast throws a party. Yeast between the toes, yeast in the ears, that corn chip smell on their paws, that's yeast. A teaspoon of apple cider vinegar mixed into their food or diluted half and half with water and dabbed onto itchy spots pushes the skin back to its natural acidity and the yeast starts to starve. Critical rule: never put it on broken or raw skin. It will burn, and your dog will never forgive you. On unbroken, itchy, yeasty skin, it's one of the cheapest fixes on earth. Now, everything I've given you so far has been gentle, safe, and easy. But the next one is the single fastest skin repair food in this entire video. And it's the one most owners are too scared to feed. Sardines are whole tiny fish, and the moment I say it, owners panic about bones. Here's the truth. Sardine bones are so small and soft, they crumble like chalk, and they're loaded with calcium. The fear is backwards because canned sardines in water, with no salt added, are one of the most concentrated skin repair foods on the planet. They're basically fish oil, but in whole food form with vitamin D, vitamin B12, selenium, and protein riding along. The omega-3 dose in just 2 or 3 sardines is strong enough that some owners genuinely report less scratching by the next morning, especially in dogs whose itch comes from dry, flaky, inflamed skin. Use 1 or 2 sardines for small dogs, or 3 or 4 for large dogs a few times a week. Watch what happens to their coat within 2 weeks. People will ask what groomer you're using, but healing the skin is only half the battle because while the skin heals, something has to handle the damage the scratching already did. For that, there's an egg-shaped answer. An egg is the cheapest skin repair kit on earth. That's it. One whole cooked egg holds nearly every nutrient a dog's body uses to manufacture skin and fur. Protein, biotin, zinc, selenium, and vitamin A. Groomers have quietly known this for decades. It's why show dog owners feed eggs before competitions. Biotin alone is the vitamin most directly tied to skin strength. Weak, flaky, easily irritated skin is often skin that's starving for it. Scramble it plain with no butter or salt, or hard boil it. Small dogs get half an egg a few times a week. Big dogs can handle one whole egg. It is cheap, simple, and sitting in your fridge right now. Now we've arrived at the warning I promised you in the first 30 seconds. There is a popular remedy that owners feed every day believing it helps, while it quietly pours gasoline on the itch. Grain-free kibble loaded with sweet potato, peas, and potato starch is often the culprit. I know, that hurts. The bag says, for sensitive skin, and the marketing shows a glowing, happy dog. But here's what's really happening. When companies removed grains, they replaced them with starches, and starch converts to sugar. And what eats sugar? Yeast. The same yeast causing the paw licking, the ear infections, and the corn chip smell. So owners spend $60 or $80 a bag on skin-friendly food that's literally feeding the organism causing the itch. This doesn't mean grain-free is evil for every dog, but if your dog is itchy and eating a starch-heavy grain-free food, that's the first thing to question. Swap some of those starchy calories for the real foods we just covered, sardines, eggs, and bone broth, and you're starving the yeast while feeding the skin. Once you've cleared that starch out of the bowl, there's a bright orange ingredient waiting to finish the job by sweeping your dog's gut clean from the inside, and it costs about $1. 2 tablespoons of plain canned pumpkin is all it takes. And I mean plain, not pumpkin pie filling, which is loaded with sugar and spices that will undo everything. Here's why pumpkin earns its place. It's packed with soluble fiber, and soluble fiber does something almost no other food does. It acts like a broom and a fertilizer at the same time. It sweeps waste and toxins out of the gut while feeding the good bacteria you added with that yogurt earlier. Scientists call this a prebiotic, or food for the good guys. On top of that, pumpkin is loaded with beta-carotene, which your dog's body converts into vitamin A, the single most important vitamin for repairing damaged skin cells. Use 1 TBSP for small dogs and 2 for large, stirred right in. But pumpkin only works from the inside. The next ingredient is the only one in this entire video that works in the bowl and in the bathtub. Your grandmother was right about oatmeal, and science took 100 years to catch up. Researchers eventually discovered that oats contain natural compounds called abinanthramides, and their entire job is to calm irritated, inflamed skin on contact. That's why oatmeal is in almost every expensive soothing dog shampoo on the shelf. But you don't need the shampoo. Grind 1 cup of plain, unflavored oats into a fine powder, stir it into a lukewarm bath, and let your dog soak for 10 minutes. For many dogs, the relief is visible before the water drains, and it works from the inside too. A spoonful of plain cooked oatmeal in their food adds fiber and B vitamins that support the skin barrier. Use lukewarm water only. Hot water makes itching worse. Now, soothing the skin is one thing, but what if you could walk to your spice rack right now and shut down the inflammation at its source? There's a spice sitting in your kitchen that researchers have published thousands of studies on. Turmeric. Its active compound, curcumin, doesn't just calm inflammation. It interferes with the actual chemical signals that switch inflammation on. But here's where 90% of owners get it wrong. Turmeric alone barely absorbs. Sprinkle it dry on kibble, and most of it passes straight through. The trick is what's called golden paste. This is turmeric simmered with water, a pinch of black pepper, and a spoon of that coconut oil from earlier. The black pepper boosts absorption by up to 20 times, and the fat carries it into the bloodstream. Use a quarter teaspoon a day for small dogs, or up to a full teaspoon for big dogs. Fair warning, it stains everything it touches gold, including bowls, fur, and your favorite shirt. Now, the golden paste works quietly, hidden inside the food. But the next ingredient announces itself. It's the only one on this list your dog can hear coming from across the kitchen. The crisp snap of a carrot is a sound most dogs come running for. And while they think they're just getting a treat, here's what's actually happening. Carrots are packed with beta-carotene, which converts to vitamin A. And vitamin A is literally the instruction manual your dog's body reads when building new skin cells. Weak vitamin A means weak skin. But there's a second benefit nobody talks about. A lot of itchy paw licking isn't even itch. It's boredom and stress that turned into a habit. A frozen carrot gives that restless mouth a job to do. It redirects the licking, cools sore gums, and scrubs their teeth on the way down. Use one baby carrot for small dogs or a full frozen carrot for big chewers. Now, everything so far has worked by fighting the itch, feeding the skin, or starving the yeast. But the next ingredient plays by completely different rules. It fights your dog's allergy by using the allergy itself. Local raw honey is the key. Here's the strange logic and why the word local changes everything. Raw honey from your own area carries microscopic traces of the exact pollen floating through the air your dog breathes on every single walk. This is the same pollen triggering the spring scratching, the watery eyes, and the paw chewing. Many holistic vets believe that tiny daily exposures through honey work like a gentle training program for the immune system, teaching it little by little that this pollen is not the enemy. It's the same idea behind allergy shots served on a spoon. Use half a teaspoon for small dogs or a full teaspoon for large a few times a week. It has to be raw and local. The processed honey bear from the supermarket shelf has been heated until the pollen is long gone. 2 hard rules. Never for puppies under 1-year-old and never for diabetic dogs. And that brings us to the final ingredient. The one animal shelters quietly use for the dogs nobody else could help. Goat's milk is what rescue workers call the universal milk. It is gentle enough for animals that can barely keep anything down. Unlike cow's milk, which upsets most dogs' stomachs, goat's milk has smaller fat molecules and natural enzymes that make it dramatically easier to digest. And raw or fermented goat's milk arrives loaded with living probiotics, taking everything we said about the gut-skin connection and pouring it straight into the bowl. A few tablespoons over dinner is all it takes. Remember what I told you at the very beginning. Your dog grows a completely new skin every 21 days. Every 3 weeks, their body hands you a brand new chance. It is never too late to change what that new skin is built from. But one honest warning, if you've genuinely tried these changes and the relentless itching won't stop, that's no longer a food problem. Mites, fleas, infections, or thyroid trouble need a vet, not a kitchen. Knowing the difference is what makes you a great owner. Don't add all 14 at once. That's the mistake that ruins everything. Follow 3 rules instead. 1 omega every day, fish oil or sardines. 1 gut helper every day, yogurt or goat's milk. And rotate just 2 of the rest each week, 3 days apart. So you always know what's working. Now drop your dog's name and your starting number in the comments. 1 for sardines, 2 for coconut oil, or 3 for goat's milk. Come back in a month and reply to your own comment with the change you see. Your story might save another dog tonight. If these natural remedies help your dog finally find peace from the itch, please subscribe and like this video. We are dedicated to uncovering the health secrets that can transform your pet's life. Let's build a healthier future together. The next life-saving tip is coming soon.